so much for spending some time with us this afternoon, and happy Thanksgiving to you a little bit early.
Yeah, happy early Thanksgiving to you as well. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Let's start, and then we'll see where the conversation goes from here with Egg Bowl memory that stands out in a positive way the most to you from your time, whether it was in Oxford or in Starkville.
I think the most just memorable one for me is the last touchdown of the 2016 Egg Bowl. Just like the icing on the cake for myself. Just running, beating him to the corner, diving for the end zone and getting in, and just kind of getting to throw the fin down on the ground, stomp it out. Just something I'm never going to forget, in my opinion. Best one.
Nick, was that one of those games where it felt like it didn't matter how many times you ran that read option, it was going to be open and you were going just big play every time the ball was in your hand?
It seemed like they just kept giving it to me. I didn't try to force anything. It just took what they gave me, and just ended up working out most of the time. I had some great blocking, obviously, some of the best in the country, and I just kind of had the easy job of running behind them most of the time.
You know, what's funny about that game, Nick, when you look back, in the first half, being there, I thought, man, Aris Williams is about to break the seasonal single-game rushing record because he had a monster first half, but the second half was all you. Was that what you were seeing there where they started to key on Aris Williams, and that left you with some wide-open holes?
Yeah, he was absolutely murdering it first half. He still had some great runs in the second half as well, but yeah, we caught a lot of, design leads, and then I just, made the reads and took what the defense gave me, and ended up being successful for us, for sure.
2018, obviously, you come back up here, a year after losing the Egg Bowl. And, just a dominant game. Obviously, most fans are going to remember that game because of the fight that happened. We'll get to that in just a minute, obviously. But, what do you remember of that 2018 game? Obviously, your first one with Joe Moorhead as well.
Again, I remember, just whatever it may be, Ole Miss always has great offense, but just not great defense. And that was just kind of ended up what it ended up being again. Our defense in 2018 was just absolutely monstrous. It was really tough to score on them, and you saw that all season, especially in the Egg Bowl. And, again, the defense just not great. We just took what they gave us and, went from there.
Nick, I'm curious, because I did this. I was going back and looking at your career numbers, and I kind of did a double take, honestly. Hey Dad was at basically every game you played in. You played in them. I watched them from afar. But I look back and I'm like, okay, over 6,000 yards passing, over 3,500 yards rushing, and 101 touchdowns. Now that you're removed from it a little bit, do you ever think back and you're like, I did that?
More than anything, as I get further and further removed from it, the ego kind of has gone down more and more. Obviously, while I was doing it, the ego was there. I was like, yeah, I'm absolutely doing this thing. And a little while afterwards, for sure. But, then you get into the real world and you realize no one really cares. And now it's just something that you yourself can hold on to. But, honestly, I had an amazing time at Mississippi State. I had so much fun, a really great career. I wish some things could have gone better, but all in all, man, I truly enjoyed it. I truly had a blast, and did some things that I don't think anyone thought was going to happen.
We were talking earlier with David Kellum, who is the play-by-play announcer for Ole Miss, and I said, is it weird for you to watch Ole Miss and State now because Ole Miss has become this running football team and Mississippi State is this passing football team? You played quarterback, but you're the all-time leading rushing quarterback in SEC history. Is it weird for you to watch Mississippi State throw the ball 50 times a game now?
Yeah, it is. It is definitely strange. Something in me is still wants to just see them run the ball. Honestly, I think it would help the offense out a lot more if we ran the ball, but we're not going to get into that right now. But no, I
Nick,
mean,
you
it
know
is
what's
definitely
funny?
strange to see us running the air raid.
I was just going to say, it's funny. We just finished up a minute ago with John Darnell, who played quarterback at Ole Miss in the late 80s, and Bo Russell, who was a defensive back at Mississippi State. They grew up together, friends, have remained friends. And the last thing that Bo told us was he's like, hey, the one thing you're going to be hearing from me on Thursday night is that guy standing off on the side yelling, run the dang ball. So I think there are a lot of guys that feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but hey, we're not coaches. I'm not getting paid the big bucks. So, what do I know?
Nick, you obviously came to Mississippi State from Georgia, and coming from there, and what was your familiarity with the Egg Bowl rivalry coming in? And then when you got to Mississippi State in that locker room, who were the Mississippi players who sort of showed you what this rivalry meant to Mississippi State?
So, honestly, I had no idea about it. Really until my official visit. My official visit was the 2013 Egg Bowl. Bo Wallace fumbling into the end zone, and us winning in overtime. And that was kind of really my first ever experience, or really any time watching the game, seeing the rivalry. And from that moment on, it was just kind of one of those things. Like once you see it once, you don't really need anyone to explain it. It's just one of the nastiest rivalries. It has to be one of, if not the nastiest rivalry in college football. And if Ole Miss and Mississippi State were, 10-win teams every year, it would probably be one of the biggest rivalries in the country because everyone would just see how nasty it is.
So, Nick, you played in that era where it was chippy, right, constantly, and it felt like after every single play there was a little extracurricular, pushing, shoving, talking, all of that stuff. Having watched it the last 2 years with Mike Leach coaching Mississippi State and Lane Kiffin coaching Ole Miss, where it's kind of like you were just describing, where they just go out and play football, would you rather play in it in games that were like the games you played in or like these guys are playing now, where it's like, yeah, it's still intense, it's still a rivalry, but they're just playing ball?
I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. You never want to be playing. You want to have emotion, but you don't want to be playing emotional. But for rivalries, I want to see that chippiness. I want to see that true dislike, that true hate that you want in a rivalry. I want to see that come out in the game. But at the same time, I don't want to see team fights. And just a bunch of personal fouls, and there's a fine line that I think that it should be kept to, but I just think that it's just a little bit. I think it's a little bit dumbed down for my liking.
You speaking of chippiness, though, 2018, obviously there's the fight. You were called for a personal foul because both teams, everybody was called for a personal foul. During that
I was standing on the sidelines. I didn't deserve that.
I was about to say, give us your viewpoint of everything that happened there. When did you realize there was a fight going on?
It took me like a second, but really the second they locked up, you kind of knew it'd been kind of crazy all game, and they locked up the ball, and then I don't remember exactly what happened to start it, but the second you kind of saw that first move and everyone just started running, I knew it was going to turn into a big thing, and so I just kind of stood there on the sidelines and watched the craziness happen. And all I think is that Matt Corral needs to send Braxton Hoyette like a gift basket every single year for saving his life, because it would have been bad. It would have been bad if he hadn't grabbed him.
Yeah. That's do you ever think back and go, I can't believe I stood there and didn't go get involved? Even in that moment, did you have the urge to go onto the field and be part of it, or you just, I'm the quarterback, I can't do that?
I mean, a little bit of me, but at the same time, I'm trying to win a football game, and I don't want to go get beat up in a scuffle. I don't want to break my hand, anything like that. I just want to be there to finish out the game. So I just kind of stood there and watched.
Nick, we are out of time. Really, really appreciate you spending some time with us this afternoon.